Good morning and good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining our Joint Crediting Mechanism webinar. I'm your host, Kaoru Yamaguchi from Global Environment Center Foundation, JEC. We are very happy to hold our first JCM seminar for our audience in Sri Lanka today, and we hope you'll stay until the end as we have guest speakers who will share the most up-to-date information about JCM, as well as relevant policies from speakers from Sri Lanka, and we have more. Before we start the webinar, I have just a couple of announcements for the audience. The first item is Q&A. We'll be holding a Q&A after each session of this webinar. Please submit your questions through the Q&A feature, which can be found on the menu bar of on the bottom of your Zoom screen. For each of your questions, please write it in English, and please remember to write the name of the speaker that you wish to ask your question so that when we bring back the speakers, we'll know who to bring back to the screen to take up your question. And lastly, when you exit this webinar, a questionnaire about today's event will appear on your web browser. Please take a moment to answer it. It will greatly help us improving our future webinars. It will only take just a couple of minutes of your time, and your feedback is very, very important to us. So with that out of the way, please let's move on to the first session of this webinar, opening remarks. We have two speakers for this opening remarks. I'd like to welcome the first speaker, Mr. Prabhath Chandrakirti. He is the Secretary of Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka. Thank you for joining us today. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. So first and foremost, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the government of Japan for organizing this session. Being a party to the UNFCCC and its Paris Agreement, Sri Lanka is committed to supporting the achievement of the objectives of the Paris Agreement. The objective of the Paris Agreement is to hold the increase in the global average temperature to well below 2 centigrade above pre-industrial levels and pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 centigrade above pre-industrial levels. To achieve the Paris temperature goals, countries have submitted the nationally determined contributions. Sri Lanka has submitted the NDCs in 2016 and 2021 respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, Sri Lanka NDCs consist of 6 mitigation sectors. They are energy, industry, transport, agriculture, waste, and forestry, and 9 adaptation sectors such as agriculture, fisheries, livestock, biodiversity, coastal and marine, health, urban planning, and human settlement and tourism. Sri Lanka is committed to reducing 14.5% of GHG emissions against the BAU scenario by the period of 2021 to 2030. Out of the 14.5% is the conditional commitment that will be achieved through external support. 4% is the unconditional commitment that will be achieved by national capacities through national programs or projects. In terms of achieving the conditional NDC's target, developing countries can follow the Article 6 mechanism of the Paris Agreement. Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement has introduced the mechanism to achieve the conditional NDC's target for developing countries by transferring internationally transferred mitigation outcomes agreed as bilaterally. The Japanese joint crediting mechanism is also in line with Article 6.2 mechanism. I believe that JCM is good opportunity for Sri Lankan industries to implement JCM projects in energy, transport, industry, waste and agriculture sectors by applying new technologies on renewable energy and energy efficiency with the support of the Japanese partnership. To acquire the benefits of JCM, the government of Sri Lanka signed the JCM agreement on 10th October 2022 with government of Japan. To implement the JCM in the country, Joint Committee on JCM has been established. The first Joint Committee was held on 13th October 2023. The first project 13.5 megawatt solar power plant project at Kabitigolla was approved by the Joint Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, Japan is a country that uses environmental friendly technologies and innovations to achieve sustainable development. Hence, this JCM is a golden opportunity for Sri Lanka to acquire their expertise and knowledge on the latest low carbon technologies and environment friendly practices. Hence, I request you get the maximum benefits from this opportunity to embrace the latest low carbon technologies in your industries while supporting the country to achieve the conditional NDCs and thereby contribute to achieving the Paris temperature target. I wish this event a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chandrakirti, for joining us and providing opening remarks. And I'd like to invite the next speaker for the opening section, Mr. Katsuki Kotaro. He's a minister and deputy head of mission from Embassy of Japan in Sri Lanka. With that, Mr. Katsuki, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Mr. B.K. Prabhat Chandrakirti, Secretary, Ministry of the Environment of Sri Lanka, and all government officials on the Sri Lankan side. Mr. Kimura Yuji, Executive Director, Global Environment Center Foundation, and his team that is organizing this meeting. Mr. Kida Yasumitsu, General Manager for Overseas Business, Shibata Corporation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. As Secretary Prabhat Chandrakirti eloquently laid out, this JCM is a joint effort between Japan and Sri Lanka to contribute to greenhouse gas emission reductions in Sri Lanka. And the main thought behind it is that to bring together Sri Lankan companies together with Japanese companies and form a joint venture, and then contribute to reduction and mitigation of greenhouse gas emission. And then that in turn will help Sri Lanka achieve the goals that the Secretary just mentioned. But also for Japan, I think it's a very good way for us to, through contributing to renewable energy and climate change efforts that Sri Lanka is doing, to also it will help our companies to utilize the technology that they have acquired, and to and in turn the benefits they will enjoy through this framework. I think today this gathering has its meaning because both the policy side and also the private sector side are online and gathering, as I understand. So I think for the policy side, together with the secretary, I co-chair the joint committee, and for us, I think it will be a very good opportunity to get some insights of how the private sector approaches this framework. Then also, I think for the private sector that are interested in this JCM program, it would also be a very good opportunity for them to get a better understanding of what they can achieve through this, and also to get a sense of what others are thinking, and hopefully this will become a good platform for our two countries' private sectors also to get to know each other and connect together. Also, I think there's another meaning for this meeting and also for this JCM scheme. At this moment, Sri Lanka is going after the economic crisis in 2022. The government is working closely with the International Monetary Fund and carrying forward the necessary reforms. And in parallel with that, the debt restructuring negotiations are proceeding and is showing positive progress. So once the debt is restructured, I think trade and investment with Sri Lanka will resume strongly. But since the debt restructuring efforts are still going on, it is, I think, vital for this country to be able to work on certain projects. And this JCM does exactly that. Through our arrangements, it will give incentive to private entities to carry forward their projects, which in the current business environment might be challenging. But because of this framework, I think with the resources that we will be providing, will help the trade, investments and the projects to move forward. So I think in the context of Sri Lanka's economic recovery, this JCM scheme has its meanings, and thus our embassies also and the government of Japan is working hard to make full use of this scheme and to contribute to the efforts by the Sri Lankan government. I will not use too much of time because today it's more of a learning, learning mode, and I'd like to listen carefully to all the speakers that will follow. But whatever we do learn from this webinar, I will assure you all that whatever projects that will be presented in front of the Joint Committee, I will try my best to push them forward. And for that, today's occasion is a very valuable opportunity for myself also to get a better understanding of what we are doing. So with that, I would like to conclude my remarks. Thank you very much for your kind attendance.
Thank you very much for that opening remarks. I'd like to thank two speakers for putting JCM into the context of the Paris Agreement, as well as the economic needs and background in Sri Lanka. Currently, I think those set a perfect stage for our webinar. So thank you very much for the two speakers again. So with that, now let's move on to the next session, which will discuss updates of JCM and relevant policies in Sri Lanka. We have 4 speakers for this session. I'd just like to quickly remind our audience that we're taking questions from you. So please send in questions through the Q&A feature on Zoom. And with that out of the way, I would like to welcome Mr. Kentaro Takahashi. He's Assistant Director of Office of Director for International Cooperation for Transition to Decarbonization and Sustainable Infrastructure, Global Environment Bureau of Ministry of the Environment, Japan. He has a presentation titled Recent Developments for the Joint Crediting Mechanism. So with that, Takahashi-san, you have the floor now.
Thank you very much, Yamaguchi-san, for your kind introductions. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kentaro Takahashi, Assistant Director, Ministry of the Environment, Japan, and I'm in charge of the JCM and Article 6 as well as International Carbon Market. So today, it's my pleasure to make our presentations on behalf of the Ministry of the Environment, Japan. We also like to thank you for your support, Mr. BK, Prabhas Chandra Kirti, Secretary Ministry of the Environment of Sri Lanka, and Mr. Katsuki Kotaro, Mr. Deputy Head of the Mission, Embassy of Japan in Sri Lanka, as well as the Global Environmental Center Foundations who prepare and arrange this important event today. So let me start my presentation. I would like to briefly explain the recent development of the joint crediting mechanisms. Before going to the JCM explanations, I would like to explain what is the JCM mission and target in Japan. So next slide, please. In our NDC, JCM, Japan's aim to reduce our greenhouse gas emission by 46% in 2030 from 2013 level. So this was set as an ambitious target, which is aligned with a long-term goal of achieving net zero by 2050. As you can see this graph, our GHG emissions in 2021 was 1.1 to 2 billion tons CO2 equivalent. Although this was a 20.3% decline compared to 2013 level, we really need to reduce more greenhouse gas emissions. To achieve the NDCs, we plan to acquire certain amounts of JC credit. So in our target, we aim to contribute to the international emission reduction and removal at the level of the cumulative GHG emission reductions 100 million tons CO2 by fiscal year 2030 through the public-private collaborations. We will also appropriately count the acquire credit to achieve our NDCs. Next slide shows the basic concept of the JCM. So JCM is the bilateral collaborations between Japan and our partner country. So far, we have a 28 partner country, and the objective of this mechanism, as the previous speaker already mentions, this mechanism is to facilitate diffusion of the leading decarbonizing technology infrastructure through investment by Japanese entities. So through these collaborations under the JCMs, we will contribute greenhouse gas emission reduction or removal and sustainable development in our partner countries. And also, as the secretary from the Sri Lanka mentions, the Article 6.2 is very much important to seek more scale-up emission reductions all over the world. So we will implement the JCM consistent with the guidance on cooperative approaches referred to Article 6.2. So through these collaborations, we will achieve the our NDCs as well as contribution to greenhouse gas emission reduction in Sri Lanka. So next slide, please. So far, we have achieved significant progress. As I mentioned, we have a 28 partner country, and we are going to plan to expand the number of our partner country up to 30 by 2025. Since we are still negotiating with the candidate, and we hope to have a new partner country in the futures. For the project formulations, we have more than 250 projects supported by the government of Japan, including the Ministry of the Environment and Ministry of the Economic Trade and Industry and Forestry agencies. In our current project pipelines, our expected emission reductions are approximately 20 million ton CO2, but that we have to scale up the size of the project. And as the secretary mentions, we also really want to seek more opportunity in their priority of the sector in their NDCs. To calculate greenhouse gas emission reductions, we need to develop our methodology because the calculation of the greenhouse gas emission reduction is very much important to secure the integrity of the our activity. So far we have approved more than 100 methodology. So under the JCM in Sri Lanka, we now only select one project on renewable energy. And of course, we have a methodology in other partner countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, because we have already selected many projects in renewable energy. but we have to develop the methodology for Sri Lanka renewable energy. So calculation is mostly similar, but only difference will be the how to set the green emission factors in the methodology. So I hope the next fiscal year, so Japanese fiscal year will start from the April 2024. So we hope to get the methodology in the futures in your country. And JCM will be relying on the Article 6.2 cooperative approach. So Sri Lanka is the, I think you also participate Article 6 and you also plan to apply and the Article 6.2 guidance. So to avoid the double accounting, I think the capacity building is very much important to secure the environmental integrity. And we also recognize the importance of the corresponding adjustment, authorization, reporting, and tracking, which are one of the requirements under Article 6. So our ministry, we provide the technical support for how we will implement the JCM in line with Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. So we established the Article 6 implementation partnership, and through this partnership, we would like to continuously support the Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka joins our partnership, and we want to seek more collaborations. Next slide shows the scheme of the JCM itself. As the Secretary already mentioned, the first joint committee was organized on 13th October 2023. So it was a very really our occasional events because we adapted all the guideline and rule to implement the JCM. So in the next step, so we have to develop more projects, and also we have to also develop the methodology, as I mentioned, because it's very important for calculate greenhouse gas emission reactions. Then we can make the project design document so that we can have a validation and verification towards the issuance of the JCM credit. So for this process, I think the capacity building for the JCM Secretariat and also relevant stakeholders are very much important. So this year again, we are also going to consider to support the Secretariat of the JCM in Sri Lanka side. So next slide, please. So this slide show which country we signed in the past, and as you can see, these slides, we have a 28 partner country from the Asia and Pacific and Africa, Latin America, and Central Asia and Middle East. So we just signed the Sri Lanka on 10th October 2022, and now we are entering the stage for implementation of the JCM. Next slide shows what kind of the projects can be eligible for the JCM project. So in our ministry, we provide JCM financing program, and this program has supported various type of the project in the past, such as renewable energy efficiency, especially for consumer sector and industry sector and urban sector. And also, as you can see, we have a waste and transport sector, and in total, more than 50% of the total projects is coming from the renewable energy sector. But we are very much welcome the other type of the sector because I think there is also huge potential to find the other sector in Sri Lanka. But we also recognize the importance of the energy sector. So let's try to find more projects in your countries. Next slide shows the activity supported by our government. So there are 4 areas we provide our support, so capacity building and project development and project implementation and monitoring evaluations. So for capacity building, as I mentioned, Article 6 is very much important. So through our Article 6 implementation partnerships centers, we are very much welcome the your actual collaboration, how to prepare the initial report as well as the regular information, which is required under the Article 6.2. And I think the most important thing is how to develop the project. So project development is very much key driver to accelerate the decarbonizations in your country. So the role of the private sector is very much important to find and also formulate the project itself. So to find the opportunity between Japan and Sri Lanka sides, the workshop of the seminar like today is very useful to create network and among stakeholder. So today is we just organize with such objective for our private sector and government official to strengthen our relationship. So how to find the Japanese company? So after my presentations, GEC, later they will present the JCM Global March to find the potential partner to implement the JCMs. So next slide shows the overview of our Japan support for JCM, our partner country. So here is a list of our support. And from our ministry, so we have a 5 menu to support. So first one is the financing program for the JCM model project. And also we provide efficacy and recovery and destruction model projects. And we also have a collaboration with the ADB and UNIDO to provide a grant for the project, including the technical cooperations. And also we provide MRV support because the measurement, reporting, and verifications are very much important to issue the JCM credit in line with Article 6. So those kind of the menu will be provided by our government. And we also have another agency like Ministry of the Economic and Trade Industry and Forestry Agency to support. Next slide shows so mainly our technical support is mostly our financing program is a very one of the big support, one of the biggest support because the project formulation is very much important to for the private sector. So so this financing program later GEC explain more detail, including how to apply this program. So this program provides financial support for investment cost up to half. So financial part of the investment cost will be provided from our side. And our scope of the financial support is the facility equipment vehicle, which reduce CO2 from the fossil fuel combustion, as well as construction costs for installing those facilities. So next, this budget, so this slides, we just show our budget for fiscal year 2023. But we now prepare the budget for fiscal year 2024. So if you have any interest to apply these programs, we will announce our next fiscal year financing program after April. So if you have any interest, please contact us and please feel free to ask any question and clarifications. And next slide shows the financing program, JCM efficacy recovery and destruction model project. So if we compare the size of the budget with the financing program for the JCM model project, in the previous slide, the budget for this program is quite limited, but our ministry really contribute to the reduction of the efficacy because the GWP is higher than higher for this efficacy. So our scope of the financial support is to install the facility equipment for recovery, destruction, and implementation of the recovery, transportation, destruction, and monitoring. So Next slide shows the overview of the support by ADB. The objective of this program is to develop the ADB project with sustainable decarbonizing transition perspective by introducing the advanced decarbonizing technology. So later, the Mr. Yanase from ADB will explain more detail of this JCM program. So finally, this slide shows how many projects have been formulated under the JCM financing program. So I'm very much sorry for very small character. As next slide, please. So since the launch of the JCM in 2013, the more than 250 projects have been developed. And so in Sri Lanka, we have selected one project under the financing program supported by Ministry of the Environment Japan, and we are very much pleased to have this project. And later, the Shibata Corporation will explain the overview of this project. So I think that you can learn the exact actual example of the our selection under the JCM financing program. So that's all from my presentation. And so thank you very much for your participation and also your kind attention. So if you have any question, clarification, please feel free to input your question in the Q&A session, as well as maybe you can freely input your question in the QA box. So that's all, and back to Yamaguchi-san.
Thank you very much, Takahashi-san, for that very comprehensive presentation. Yes, and I'd like to repeat what he said at the last, that we're taking questions from our audience. Any questions are welcome. Please feel free to send it in. Oh, we just had one. Thank you. Yeah, any questions are welcome. Please send it through the Q&A feature on the Zoom screen. And with that, I'd like to introduce the next speaker to hear more about the information from Sri Lanka's side. So I would like to welcome Ms. Kumudini Vijayalankara. She's a Director of Environment Planning and Economics from Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka. She has a presentation entitled Sri Lanka's Policy for Decarbonization Expectations for JCM. So thank you for joining us today. You have the floor now.
Very good morning to everyone. Hope that you can see my screen.
Yes, it's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank Government of Japan to organizing this webinar, because actually it is a timely requirement, because most of parties in Sri Lanka, they are very keen to join with JCM mechanism. So I think this is very much important for them to gain knowledge and get aware about JCM mechanism. So thank you very much all the participants from Sri Lanka as well. I actually appreciate your enthusiasm to join with this webinar today. So today I'm going to present about Sri Lanka's policy for decarbonization and expectation from the JCM from our side as the Sri Lankan government. Actually, there are a few important points I have to highlight here. As we all know, Sri Lanka is a party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, then Kyoto Protocol, although it is not in active state right now, and the very important thing is its Paris Agreement. Then Sri Lanka implemented a clean development mechanism as well. There are 15 projects running under the CDM in Sri Lanka. this mechanism came under the Kyoto Protocol. And even though Kyoto Protocol is over now, there is a mechanism under UNFCCC under Article 6.4 to transfer in these CDM projects under the Article 6.4. Then, as a party to the Paris Agreement, Sri Lanka submitted national determined contributions in 2021. It is the revised and latest NDCs. Before that, actually, we have submitted INDCs and then simultaneously NDCs in 2016. Then with the submission of NDCs of Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka declared its willingness to become carbon net zero by 2050. Accordingly, Sri Lanka prepared carbon net zero 2050 roadmap and strategic plan. So our path is expectation of Sri Lankan government in this low carbon pathways is very clear. And then in COP27 at Egypt, His Excellency President launched the Climate Prosperity Plan of Sri Lanka, which is the first ever climate investment plan of the country. So then national determined contributions. Hope that you all know something about national determined contributions, but however, I will explain very little bit about the national determined contributions. It is the commitment come under the Paris Agreement. So parties to Paris Agreement should submit their national determined contributions to the UNFCCC. National determined contributions are the plans or activities which plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and activities plan to increase resilience of the climate change impact, adverse climate change impacts. So there are two kinds of NDCs, mitigation NDCs, adaptation NDCs. Mitigation NDCs are simply the activities or targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. For that, we have to identify what are the sectors contribute to the GHG emissions in the country. Then adaptation sectors, actually there are 9 adaptation sectors in Sri Lanka. So these sectors are the sectors that have bad impact with the badly affected by the adverse impact of the climate change. So there are 6 mitigation sectors have been identified under the Sri Lanka NDCs: power, transport, industry, forestry, waste, agriculture. Then for the adaptation NDCs, agriculture, livestock, fisheries, biodiversity, coastal and marine, water including irrigation, health, urban cities and human settlement, tourism and recreation. Apart from that, there is another sector, NDC sector in Sri Lanka, that is loss and damage, which is aiming to how to take action. So plan the things to mitigate the losses and damages happening due to climate change. So these are the NDC sectors in Sri Lanka. So hereafter, I'm going to briefly explain you what are the mitigation NDCs and key highlights of these mitigation NDC sectors, because you know that JCM is a program to support us mitigate the GHG emissions. Hence, for participants of this webinar today, it is important to know about what are the NDC targets of mitigation sector NDCs in Sri Lanka. If we see the emission reduction targets of NDCs in Sri Lanka, the total target up to 2030 is 14% 5 of emission reduction targets against the business as usual scenario from the period 2021 to 2030. So this is the conditional and unconditional percentages of each sector and overall sectors. I will take 1 minute to explain what is the unconditional and what is the conditional. Unconditional is the commitment that we agreed to implement by our own capacity. So government should expend for the implementing these commitments. Conditional commitments are the commitment that we are expect to implement with the support of external parties. So it is very clear that JCM is one of the opportunities to implement these conditional NDC targets in Sri Lanka. So when we look at the energy sector NDCs, there are 5 NDCs. I'm not going to read one by one, but I will read some of these NDCs which you can use for use to make proposals for JCM mechanism. The first one is enhance renewable energy contribution to the national electrification generation mix by increasing solar PV, hydro, and sustainable biomass-based electricity generation. You know that Sri Lanka has very high potential of REs. So actually, when we submitted the NDCs, finally, Ministry of Power and Energy, they have given that they have a target of increasing the renewable energy contribution up to 70% by 2030, and they targeted to become carbon neutral by 2015 electricity sector. So this is our pathway in energy NDC. So I think most of the industries and private sector people who wish to prepare proposals under proposals to JCM, you can use this NDC with the guidance and criteria we will develop in future. Then second one is implement demand side management measures by promoting energy efficient equipment, technologies and system improvement in the national energy efficiency improvement and conservation. This is also one of the key area. I think there are several industry people are there. Actually, one of their major concern is how to reduce their energy cost. So now at this moment, country, we have, I think, certain kind of high burden for electricity bill and all these things. So it is very important for industries to reduce their electricity consumption. For that, this demand side management is a good option. So I think energy efficiency is in a hot topic right now, because in the last COP as well, it has been focused on doubling the effort to increase energy efficiency works in the globe. So I think this is also a good area to get the support of Japan, because they have very sound good technologies as well as energy efficient equipment. I think this is very good area to develop your proposal to JCM in Sri Lankan parties. Then conversion of existing fuel oil base combined cycle power plants or natural gas. I think these things actually belong to the government. But earlier two, the first and second NDCs are very important for the proposal developers who are willing to get the support under the JCM. Then when we look at the transport sector, actually it is the I must say that it is a little bit weaker NDC sector in Sri Lanka because of the lack of data and all these things. Actually, it's Seems like a kind of wish list. However, we have several NDCs under the transport sector. Transport sector system improvement, promote public passenger transport. This is very important thing. Then shift rate to efficient mode. Rapid transport for passenger transport, promote non-motorized transport modes, introduce taxes and other instruments to promote public transport, introduce inland boat transport modes, modernizing and upgrade suburban railway, promote electric mobility and hybrid vehicles, improve vehicle fleet efficiency, road infrastructure development, reduce GHG emissions from the marine sector, generic enabling activities. These are the activities come under, actually targets come under transport sector. If you take the NDC document, you can see the detailed activities in that NDC document. This is just a brief and actions very briefly. There are some potential to develop proposal even under transport NDCs. Then industry sector, it is one of the, I think, most potential sector that can get the support under JCM. So first, NDC is continue fuel switching to sustainable biomass energy and improve use efficiency in selected industrial subsectors, specialty, rubber, apparel, hotel and tourism, rice processing, industries like that. Then enhance the application for a resource efficient cleaner production. I think that's also a good area. Then introduce the circular economy concept to selected industrial subsectors and selected industrial zones. I think this is also one of the area that can get the support from Japan, because they have good practices and good technologies. Then introduce tri-generation facilities to selected industrial parks and incentivize GHG reduction of clinker production in the cement industry. So these are the main NDCs come under industry sector. I think you can pick some of the important NDCs to develop your proposal and get the support under JCM. Then waste sector, it is also one of the sector, I think, that has the potential to develop proposal to get the support under JCM. Improve circular economy practices in all municipal solid waste generation sources, manage biodegradable waste components through biological treatment, introduce energy recovery using non-recyclables and waste that cannot be managed by other means. And I think these NDCs can be used for creating your develop your proposal to get assistance under the JCM. And actually, I'm not going to present forestry sector and agriculture sector NDCs here, because under the JCM, I think their supporting areas is limited for some sectors. So forestry is not a sector come under JCM support. Hence, I'm not presenting here the NDCs come under forestry sector. Then carbon net zero 2050 roadmap and strategic plan, as I said to you earlier. With the submission of 2021 NDCs, majority of the countries, they declared their willingness to become net zero by 2050 to support Paris Agreement temperature targets. Accordingly, Sri Lanka also declared our willingness to become carbon neutrality by 2050. Then Climate Change Secretariat of Sri Lanka, they have developed this carbon net zero 2050 roadmap and strategic plan. But I have to say that we had to use the prevailing data for preparing this plan. So especially based on the NDC. So this is kind of rolling plan. Actually, they have keep some milestone. So every 5 years with the amendment of NDCs and all these things. This plan also, I think, kind of rolling out plan and will be adjusted the targets or milestone depending on what extent we have achieved the targets after every 5-year cycle. However, this is the total investment cost under the carbon net zero 2050 roadmap. So there are no very much deviations from NDCs, the initiatives taken to preparing this one as well. However, in future, I think with the availability of data and then projections will be different, and accordingly this plan is subject to change with the availability of data and the new technologies and NDC activities we are implementing with the time. Then climate prosperity plan, actually which the president launched it at COP27 in Egypt. I think it is the first ever climate investment plan in Sri Lanka, because it focusing on investment in climate sector. There are 3 goals of climate prosperity plan: unlock domestic energy abundance through RE modernization and sustainable transportation, then financially engineer a climate secure transformation, and galvanize climate protection against key risk. This plan aims at 26.5 billion USD investment actually under renewable energy, energy efficiency, sustainable transport, climate smart agriculture. So you can see the same priorities are there even in the climate prosperity plan, because renewable energy, energy efficiency, and sustainable transport is the major focus even in the climate prosperity plan. And so under the goal 1 of the climate prosperity plan, there are 3 objectives that financing financing maximize renewable energy and grid modernization potential and the connectivity. So it aims to sustainably exploit the full potential of national renewable energy resources, optimizing energy efficiency as well as increase grid connectivity by upgrading the grid and connecting Sri Lanka to neighboring countries. So it is very clear that what is our path, and actually in this climate prosperity plan, it has identified how much potential is there in the country to generate electricity through renewable energy resources. So this is one of the main investment area come under climate prosperity plan as well. Then second objective is sustainable transportation, support the transition towards renewable energy based resilience mobility network, promoting sustainable lifestyle and sustainable mobility. Then objective 3 come under goal 1 is accelerated transition and modernization through reskilling and training, promote sustainable economic transformation by incentivizing and leveraging local opportunities for climate resilience and green jobs, and training and the population to increase jobs and decrease poverty. I think through JCM project also you can support to achieve these objectives as well. Then under the goal 2, there are 3 objectives: shifting sustainable debt through conversion and attrition of capital to climate projects, carbon financing hub to value blue carbon, soil carbon forest, carbon, etc., financially protect the economy and livelihood. Then under goal 3, climate smart agriculture is there, then strengthening fisheries value chains to safeguard food security and nutrition, and building resilience to heat and climate sensitive diseases. These are the main objectives come under the climate prosperity plan. So if you see the investment breakdown of the climate prosperity plan of Sri Lanka, you can see that the government amount that how this 26 billion is going to invest. This is the plan. So I presented this to you to get an idea about this climate prosperity plan, and I think through the JCM you can support some of these activities or investment in the country. Then this is the most important thing, I think, expectations from the JCM. We all know that Japan is the country that has very high technologies and numerous low carbon pathways and financial capacity as well. So under this JCM, actually, I should say that because this will be very important for those who, the parties that who keen to prepare, develop their proposals to get the support under JCM. Please, when you prepare your proposals, please be keen on actually take the Japanese support for high-tech, high-cost technologies implementing in the country, because that is the lacking part of Sri Lanka. Not only Sri Lanka, all the developing country parties, actually, we don't have enough technical know-how and technologies, newest technologies. So this is a kind of, I think, commitment even under UNFCCC of the developed country parties to support developing country parties in technology aspect as well. So this is the first expectation from Sri Lanka under the JCM, and then new low carbon technologies, because we know that there are so many low carbon technologies, but I think sophisticated and very efficient technologies come very later. So they have very latest technologies. I think you can explore these things and make your proposal to get the JCM support for your proposals exploring these new low carbon technologies. I think that capacity is there in Japan. It will be very good for the country. Then required funding and investment support, especially in this economic crisis situation, I think it is very important to have at least some kind of financial support. It may be through the equipment or technology or something like that. So it is actually one of the key concern in Sri Lanka. Then engage with international carbon market through this JCM. Actually, I think it is transferring of ITMOS and all these things. Then the key thing is achieving conditional NDC targets. And apart from these things, I think capacity building and all other things related to implementing these technologies also we expect from Japanese government under this JCM mechanism. I think we together can support to global temperature goal of the Paris Agreement. It will be created a good sound environment for upcoming generations. So that is the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, for that very comprehensive presentation, providing, I think it was a very good in-depth information that was really interesting for our audience today, who is probably looking for new opportunities to do a JCM project. Particularly interesting for me was that you shared your Sri Lanka's investment planning. I think it was very, very important information for all the private sector audience who are watching this webinar today. So thank you very much for sharing that, all that information. And please stay with us. We might try to ask you a question on screen. So thank you for that. And then I would like to bring in the next speaker, Ms. Risa Kikuchi. She's an assistant manager from Financing Program Group of Global Environment Center, GC. She has a presentation titled Financing Program for JCM Model Projects and Global Match. So welcome, Kikuchi-san, you have the floor.
Thank you, Kaoru-san, and good morning, good afternoon. My name is Risa Kikuchi from Global Environment Center Foundation, JEC. I would like to first share my screen presentation. Okay. Can you see the presentation? Yeah, okay. So I am delighted to have this opportunity to speak to you about JCM financing program on behalf of our organization. JEC is an implementing organization of financing program for the JCM model projects. Today, I would like to talk to you about the overview of the JCM financing program, introduce some of the JCM model projects already selected, and give you some information about JCM Global Match. Is it? Okay. So let me start with the JCM financing program overview. On October 10th, 2022, the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka and Japan signed the Memorandum of Cooperation on the Joint Crediting Mechanism. As a result, JCM officially launched in Sri Lanka, becoming the 23rd partner country. On October 13th, 2023, as is already mentioned, the first joint committee was held in Bataramula, where the first JCM model project was approved. The slide shows the scheme of the financing program for the JCM model project. As an implementing organization, JEC, our organization, undertakes the administrative work for the JCM model projects from the Ministry of the Environment of Japan. Selected projects will be able to receive financial support on the facilities or equipment with advanced decarbonizing technologies for the reduction of GHG emissions. As an important point to mention about this scheme is that it utilizes financial support to introduce advanced technologies and produce products that are not yet prevalent in the partner country due to being costly, even though they are capable of effectively reducing GHG emissions. The emission reduction made by the project will be monitored, reported, and validated, and finally issued as JCM credits, which will be shared between the partner country and Japan. This is the timeline of the model project for the fiscal year starting in April. We accepted proposals till the end of November 2023. Selected projects will go through administrative processes for finalizing the contract of financial support. After the completion of the contract, the projects can officially start as JCM model projects. This slide shows the development steps of a JCM model project. When developing a project, first of all, you have to find a Japanese partner to work with. I will touch upon a matchmaking tool later in this presentation, but proposals can be submitted by a Japanese partner as the representative participant. JEC assesses and evaluates each proposal and select projects with the Ministry of the Environment of Japan. This is the outline of JCM model project for fiscal year 2023. The budget is approximately 15 billion Japanese yen, or about $109 million for the period of 3 years. The maximum amount of financial support per project is 2 billion Japanese yen, or about $14.5 million US. Scope of financing, as you can see here, covers facilities and equipment that reduce CO2 from fossil fuel combustion and related construction costs for installation of these facilities. Selected projects can start from the date of the notice of contract of financial support. Please note that sales contracts and purchase orders must be conducted after the completion of contract of finance. A JCM model project needs to finish installation within 3 years. This figure shows a typical form of an international consortium. A representative participant has to be a Japanese entity, and at least one partner participant needs to be a partner country's entity. Project participants are responsible for the project entirely. Partner participants must own and use equipment introduced by the model project. This is because these facilities and equipment need to be properly operated and maintained for GHG emission reduction activity throughout the monitoring period to be able to issue JCM credits. So what kind of projects are supported by the JCM financing program? Some key points are as follows. Projects must reduce energy-related CO2 emissions generated by burning fossil fuels by the introduction of leading decarbonizing technologies. B, projects should contribute to the achievement of SDGs in the partner country and comply with the relevant laws, regulations, and international practices. C, achieved reduction of GHG emissions must be measured and quantitatively calculated and verified for issuance of JCM credits. They are described in the guidelines for submitting proposals posted on our website, which you can refer to for more details if you would like. JCM model projects should contribute to the sustainable development of the partner country. We review projects in what ways they can contribute to sustainable development goals. This slide shows an example of possible contribution in the case of a renewable energy project. We believe that model projects have potential to contribute to various goals other than just the energy and environmental areas. This is a table of applied technologies for each partner country for this year's selection. It's a bit complicated, but it's based on the number of projects on this table, maximum financial support is indicated. If a proposed technology is the first one, the maximum financial support is 50% of the total cost of a project, where the cells are blank on this table. The rate goes down to 40% and 30%, depending on the number of already applied technology in each country. For Sri Lanka, as the first solar power project was selected in 2023, the maximum percentage for solar power plant will change when we start a new call for proposals for the next fiscal year, 2024, which we are expecting in April. This is a criterion of cost effectiveness, that is the amount of financial support divided by the total amount of GHG emission reduction. We set this value as less than 4,000 yen per ton CO2, which is about $30 US, and this becomes a ceiling of the budget for some projects. We also have a guideline for specific technologies such as solar power and hydropower. We set the suitable values of cost effectiveness to 2,500 yen for solar power and 500 yen for a hydropower project. That's per ton CO2. This is a JCM Eco Lease scheme. It was introduced in 2020. It's dedicated for leasing businesses. The financial support under the scheme is set uniformly to 10% of the project cost. So one of the main purposes of JCM is to issue JCM credits. This shows the procedures we should follow for the issuance of JCM credits. We, as JEC, also support the MRV process. This is the slide that shows the MRV process. MRV stands for Measurement, Reporting, and Verification. This takes place after the installation of the equipment and facilities and when operation starts. Today, we won't go into details on this process. Next, I will share with you the JCM model project trend. On this map, you can see the JCM model projects categorized by applied technology type here. To date, there are 240 projects selected all over the world. The number of dots indicates the selected projects in each partner country. The different colors of the dot indicate the technological sector. We hope that we will receive many applications for the projects in Sri Lanka next year. In 2023, 13 projects have been selected so far. From this year, a new process of sending a project idea note, PIN, to each partner country and receiving a no objection for the proposed project has been added to the selection process. The first project in Sri Lanka followed this process, and we are still now in the final process of our screening, and we hope to announce more selected projects shortly. This chart shows an accumulated number of projects by sector for model projects. Blue line shows energy saving, orange line shows renewable energy, and other color lines are at the bottom of this graph. The pie chart on the left, on top left, shows the energy saving and renewable energy sectors dominate the JCM model projects. As a recent trend, the number of renewable energy projects have been increasing and exceeded that of energy saving. This chart on the left shows only the renewable energy sector. PV system accounts for the largest portion, about 78%, which has been steadily increasing from the early stage of the model project. The second is mini hydro system, then biopower generation system. In this sector, there are wind power system, geothermal power generation system. Renewable energy projects tend to contribute for mass reduction of CO2s, and we anticipate to have more proposals and also welcome to add variation in this field. This chart shows all energy saving projects proposed till today. As you can see, a variety of technologies have been selected as JCM model projects. Oops, sorry. So now let me introduce to you some recent JCM model projects. So this is the solar power project selected for this fiscal year as the first JCM model project in Sri Lanka. The generated power will be sold to Ceylon Electricity Board, replacing a part of grid power generated from fossil fuel. This project will contribute to expand power generation capacity in Sri Lanka while reducing GHG emissions. You'll be hearing more about this project in the next session, I believe. This is a 20 megawatt flash geothermal power plant project in Tanawan area of the Philippines. The power plant will be connected to the grid, replacing a part of the grid power generated from fossil fuel. This flash geothermal power plant is relatively small in scale, but it contributes to the sustainable renewable energy supply. I will skip some of the projects. This is a waste to energy project in Bac Ninh province in Vietnam. Currently, 230 tons per day of municipal solid waste is landfilled. At this newly introduced plant, 500 tons of waste will be incinerated to generate electricity. With this new scheme, proper waste treatment is done to avoid methane to be released to the atmosphere, supplying electricity to the grid at the same time. This is a combination system of a rooftop solar system and gas cogeneration system for the tire factory in Thailand. Generated power and steam will be consumed in the factory. These high efficient systems and renewable energy sources realize energy saving and stable energy supply. Cogeneration system is effective, especially for factories when they consume a large amount of heat. This project is a 48 megawatt offshore wind power generation project in Vietnam, also in Vietnam. This project site is 100 meters to 2 kilometers offshore in Duen Hai district. And the generated power will be sold to Vietnam Electricity, which will replace fossil fuel originated electricity. This will be the first wind power generation project as a JCM project. Okay, from here, let me give you a brief introduction to the JCM Global Match. JEC provides a matching service on our website, which is called JCM Global Match. JCM Global Match is an entirely free of charge business matching platform, which supports development of JCM model projects. There are 3 things you can do at JCM Global Match. First, you can find a potential business partner to develop a JCM model project and apply for the financing program. Second, you can advertise your company using specialty card so that other companies that are interested in what you do will be able to contact you. Thirdly, you can discuss your business with potential partners. You can obtain company list by 2 ways. By clicking on Japanese enterprises on the top page or clicking on specialty. Please be noted that you can only obtain the list after you register on JCM Global Match. Next, you can promote your company from My Specialties page. There are many companies of various business sectors already registered on this platform. By registering your specialties, your potential business partner will be able to find you and contact you. This function will be available after your registration. Thirdly, you will be able to have an open discussion with the party that contacted you or who you would like to contact through this website, through this platform. All the explained functions are entirely free of charge, so we strongly recommend that you take this opportunity to register yourself. To access JCM Global Match, just search or use the link up here, or you can also scan the QR code here with your cell phone. Register today and find new opportunities. JEC also accepts consultation on the JCM model projects and financing program all year round. You can make a request through our website. To conclude my presentation, let me show you a list of the representative participants of selected JCM model projects to date. There are many Japanese companies taking part in this scheme and cooperating in the reduction of GHG emissions in partner countries. Their business extends to a variety of fields, such as wholesale, retail, food, chemical, textile, and so on. It is important to encourage participation for further expansion of the JCM model project, so we continue to make efforts to encourage companies to participate to create more projects in order to promote action for GHG emission reductions in Sri Lanka as well. Over many years, various technologies have been implemented as model projects from lighting in retail stores and the solar power system to shopping malls, heat pumps in hotels, to a variety of production equipment in factories in the industrial field. So you have a lot of opportunities to make use of model projects to accelerate and reinforce infrastructure in Sri Lanka. We're waiting for many proposals for JCM model projects in Sri Lanka. I hope my presentation has helped you with your understanding of the JCM model project. Thank you for your attention. And back to you.
Thank you, Kikuchi-san, for that presentation. And my colleague also posted a link to JCM Global Match. It's a matching site that Kikuchi-san just mentioned in the last part of her presentation. So anyone who's looking for a partner to work with, whether you're in Japan or you're in Sri Lanka, please take a look. It's a great system. So with that, I'd like to move on to the next speaker, Mr. Tatsuya Yanase. He's an Environment and Climate Change Specialist and JCM Fund Manager from Asian Development Bank, ADB. And unfortunately, he was not able to attend today's event live. So, but he kindly recorded his presentation. So what we'll show you is his video recording right now. His presentation is titled Introduction of Japan Fund for the Joint Crediting Mechanism. And go ahead, thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Tatsuya Yanase from ADB. I am a fund manager of JCM, Japan Fund for the Joint Crediting Mechanism. First of all, on behalf of ADB, I'd like to convey sincere appreciation to all for giving us this great opportunity. So to start with, I'd like to share my presentation materials first. Okay, in my presentation today, I'd like to introduce JCM briefly as one of the JCM financial scheme through ADB. Okay, so before speaking on JCM, let me mention about ADB's Strategy 2030, which is ADB's long-term corporate strategy that sets ADB's course on how best to respond to Asia and the Pacific's changing needs. ADB sets climate change as one of the 7 operational priorities. Under the Strategy 2030, originally we aimed to mobilize $80 billion in climate finance cumulatively from 2019 to 2030, but we have raised our ambition to achieve $100 billion in the same period. And also, ADB committed that at least 75% of its operations will support climate action by 2030. In addition, ADB's Strategy 2030 set ambitious targets for providing reliable energy access to all, together with the amplified calls for action on climate change. With this regard, we have released the new energy policy in October 2021, which gives more emphasis on promoting low carbon transition across the region. ADB updated its capital adequacy framework to expand its bank's annual new commitments capacity to more than $36 billion to unlock $100 billion in new funding capacity over the next decade. So this is the snapshot of ADB's carbon market program. ADB has been implementing its carbon market program more than 10 years for incentivizing investments in low carbon technologies in developing countries in Asia Pacific region. As you can see in the diagram, especially orange colored box, JCM is one pillar in the carbon market program as one of the trust fund. Okay, let me move on to the overview of JCM. The JCM was established in 2014 as one of ADB's trust funds contributed by government of Japan. The cumulative amount of their contribution is $118 million. JCM provides grant for adoption of advanced low carbon technologies in ADB financed projects that use JCM, Joint Crediting Mechanism. This time I will skip detailed explanation on JCM, but the amount of GHG reductions will be converted into carbon credit under the JCM process, which is the same as the other support schemes, as my colleagues explained earlier. And this is a requirement of our fund. And both sovereign and non-sovereign projects are eligible. Sovereign projects mean projects in which ADB lends to central governments or other entities with government guarantee. And non-sovereign projects means projects in which ADB lends to the private sector or other entities without government guarantee. So this is JCM eligibility. For investment projects, ADB developed member countries that have signed bilateral agreements on the JCM are eligible for JCM support, as listed in the second bullet point. Of course, Sri Lanka is one of the eligible countries. For technical assistance, in addition to the eligible DMCs, as I mentioned, those that have initiated discussions with the government of Japan for the JCM are also eligible. Eligible projects are those to be financed by ADB, and JCM can be provided as an additional financing to approved ADB projects too. Eligible technologies are advanced low-carbon technologies that reduce greenhouse gas emissions, including CO2 from energy sources. And the technologies must have a proven implementation and operation record of its technical effectiveness. So this is JCM support scheme. So upper side of this slide for sovereign project. For sovereign projects, JCM provides grant for incremental cost between advanced low-carbon technology and business as usual technology. Maximum amount of grant is 10% of total project cost, but capped to 10 million. When the total project cost is less than 50 million, 5 million is maximum amount of grant. For non-sovereign project, JCM provides grant by milestones to support deployment of advanced low-carbon technologies. Maximum amount of grant is 10% of total project cost, capped to 10 million. If the participant from the private sector consider using JCM, then you need to use ADB loan first. So this is the entry point for using JCM for non-sovereign project. So this is requirements for the JCM. After approval of the JCM funding, a borrower, in this case grant recipient, is required to meet JCM application requirements. For example, preparation and approval of JCM methodology, and preparation for project design documents, PDD, and validation by third-party entities, and registration of the project, and the phase of the operation, monitoring, reporting, and verification of GHG emission reduction, and issuance of the JCM credits and delivery to government. So borrower needs to engage consultant by using the JCM grant. At the same time, JCM Secretariat may have this process. So this shows the roles of key entities in JCM project, kind of a map of roles of key entities. You can see the center of this slide, Joint Committee. So this is a kind of governing body for JCM projects, in charge of the development, revision of rules and guidelines and methodologies, and also registration of the project. On both sides, there are both government, Japan, and the partner country, in this case, Sri Lanka's government. And you can see the green box. This is project participants in charge of the project implementation and monitoring. And the third-party entity, this is blue box, which is in charge of validation and verification. And we, ADB JCM Secretariat, is orange box outside of the map, provides financing and other support. So this is the approved JCM funded project at this moment. Currently, we have 8 projects approved. if we look at the countries, we have 3 projects from Maldives and 2 projects from Mongolia and Bangladesh and Indonesia and Palau. And if you look at the technology supported, for example, JCM support to introduce advanced battery and energy management system, energy efficient transmission lines, solar PV with advanced battery system and the EMS. And the first project is to introduce energy efficient HVAC system, high insulation window, rooftop solar PV, and ground source heat pump. And 5th project in Maldives is to introduce waste to energy plant and geothermal power plant in Indonesia, and advanced flow battery system in Maldives. And the 8th project in Palau is the financial intermediation project to support investment in low carbon technologies. And we have now cumulative JCM grant is $52 million US. So this is my last slide to explain how you may be able to access JCM related project. For sovereign projects, project owners and grant recipients are usually public sector entities, such as central governments and state-owned enterprises. So therefore, the discussion happens between government and ADB. And since the project is done by the public entities, the procurement is made through a competitive bidding process. So if you are the government officials, you may talk to your government's focal point for ADB, or you could also talk to us directly to see what is the best approach for initiate the discussion. If you are the private sector entities, you may participate in the bid to be a contractor or subcontractor, such as for EPC, technology providers, and others. So if you are consultants, there are various opportunities across the project cycle, from the project development to the implementation. For non-sovereign projects, project owners are usually the private sector. Since the JCM support is only possible for ADB finance project, you need to discuss ADB loan with our private sector operations department, PSOD. So you may directly contact our resident mission office in Sri Lanka, or please contact us. Okay, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention. If you have any questions on JCM, or if you have any future ideas for the project, please contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a presentation from Mr. Yanase from ADB introducing JCM. And with that, it concludes the first part of our webinar. And before we move on and bring in more speakers, I would like to have spend a bit of a time introducing some of the questions that were sent from our audience. Thank you very much, everyone, for sending in many questions. We're very happy to see much interest in JCM. So perhaps we can bring, oh, thank you, you are here, Ms. Wijayankara, for the first question for you. Let's see, hold on, sorry, trying to get organized here. So first question is for you, Ms. Kumudini Wijayankara from Sri Lanka. There was a question that was asked by one of the audience that I will read out the question in case some of the audience couldn't see the question. So the question goes, the carbon credit certificate should be with the approval of Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka. So in other words, I think the audience is asking, should the carbon credit certificate be approved by the Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka? So if you could share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, actually, so this part I omitted in my presentation thing is that most of you know that in Sri Lanka there's no carbon trading framework or guiding principles prepared. Right now, in this year, we hope to complete that task. Most probably, this will be happen through the Ministry of Environment. Still no firm decision, but as per our expectations, most probably we hope that it will be happens through the Ministry of Environment. Thank you.
Thank you. And perhaps I can ask Takahashi-san from Ministry of Environment Japan, with the answer from Ms. Kumudini-san, is there anything you'd like to add to that question from the Japanese government side? Sorry, regarding
Can
the
I,
credit certification part, the
yes,
question
yes, yeah,
was.
I try to, yeah, okay, yeah, I try to, yeah, give the supplemental information to the these questions. So thank you very much for these questions. And so, so far we have only one selected project under the JCMs. It's related to the Shibata Corporation. And after they start the implementations of the projects, I think the renewable energies will be actually generated from the project. And also at the same time, we will monitor their electricity generation. And after the verifications, we will ask the project participant to prepare the monitoring report as well as the verification report so that we can issue the credit. So based on their verified emission reductions, joint committee between Japan and Sri Lanka, we will receive the documents from the project participant. And as Ms. Kumundi mentions, we will discuss whether we will issue the credit between Japan and Sri Lanka. And as you know, the focal point of the Sri Lanka side is the Ministry of the Environment of Sri Lanka. So I think as the co-chair of the joint committee between Japan and Sri Lanka, after we decide the issue of the credit, we will notify the amount of the issuance of the credit to the project participants. So after the notification, the project participants can confirm the actual issuance of the credit in the registry system. So registry system will be developed will be there, Japanese side and Sri Lanka side, and they can find the amount of the credit. So in our JCM registry, especially Japanese side, if project person want to get some, but if they want to really check the balance sheet, I think they can get the electric documents from the account under the JCM registry. So that's my supplemental information and answer to this question. So back to you.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you very much. And then while we have you here, Takahashi-san, there's another question that we were hoping to ask you. This is another question from the audience, which goes, when credits are finally transferred, how will JCM office ensure that there is transparency of funds and credits involved between selected JCM consultant from Japan and Sri Lanka project company? So Mr. Takahashi from Ministry of Environment Japan, do you think you can also sort of provide your answer to this question as well?
Okay, so let me check again.
Or perhaps.
Okay. Okay.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I actually confirm the questions. I think the so I think the yeah to prepare the documents for the credit issuance between Japan and Sri Lanka side, it's project participant side, they have to prepare how much we will be allocated between Japan and Sri Lanka side. And I think that according to the actually our JCM financing programs, actually according to our program, the basically the credit allocation will be divided depending on the how much Japanese side contribute to the project itself. So we provide a subsidy to the project up to 50% of the investment cost. So if the Japanese side contribute to the project around 50%, I think the credit allocations will be for Japanese side will be around 50%. So, but I think the subsidy ratio will be depending on the actual actual expenses of the project itself. So, but we will we have a formulate for we have an equation how to allocate the credit under the JCM financing program. So we will require those actually equations. And then we will ensure that transparencies.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't put each of you in the spot, but thank you very much. Those are excellent answers to the questions, and thank you very much. And I would like to bring in someone else for a different type of question. So thank you, Ms. Vidyankara and Mr. Takahashi, for answering those questions. And I'm bringing back Ms. Kikuchi from GC. We have two questions for her, which were also submitted by our audience. And the first one is, it goes, what is the maximum budget allocated for a project of waste energy? Can we go up to 15 million US$ for year 2024?
Thank you for the question. I think I touched upon a little bit about this in the presentation, but basically the maximum amount is set to 2 billion yen, which is about $14.5 US per project.
Thank you. And let's ask you another question. The question the audience asked, when will the international consortium be formed with the Sri Lanka project company? Is it after the approval of the project by GC?
Okay, so as I explained in the presentation, selected projects will go through administrative procedures and where you will get the contract of financial support. So an international consortium shall be set up before completing the contract of financial support. I hope that was clear. I hope that was clear, and there are many questions that are answered on the Q&A section. So if anyone's interested, you can have a look at the answers. And also, I think Yamaguchi-san, there is another question from the audience.
Yes, perfect. Sounds like it. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Kikuchi-san.
Welcome.
So, Ms. Vidyankara, it sounds that we wanted to ask you yet another question while we have you here. There was another question that was submitted by the audience, which reads, I would like to know whether GOSL defined unconditional NDCs and conditional NDCs by now. If so, can we apply for JCM, which is categorized under unconditional NDCs?
No, actually, thing is that, as I explained in my presentation too, unconditional NDCs are the NDCs that we committed to implement by our own capacity, Sri Lankan government capacity. So if we get the JCM support for implementing NDCs come under unconditional category, then what happens, we cannot fulfill our emission reduction commitment because then part of these emission reductions goes to Japanese government. So unconditional part is very small. I think those unconditional NDCs have been decided by looking at the the government implementing thing and things that keep under government authority. So these things cannot be implemented under the JCM support. So conditional part, you can select any options, I think, as the area for preparing your proposal. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Indeed, I think that's a very important definition or distinction that whoever is thinking of applying for JCM must know, now that you clarify that unconditional NDC will not go under JCM project. So that's a very good answer, very good information. Thank you very much. And thank you for coming back to the screen to answer another question. And I think this concludes this part of the webinar, and we're going to move on to session 3, case examples of JCM implementation. And for this, we have 2 speakers. The first presenter is Mr. Yasumitsu Kida. He's a general manager for overseas business from Shibata Corporation. He has a presentation entitled 13.5 megawatt solar power project in Kebi-Thigowela, North Central Province of Sri Lanka. So thank you very much for joining us today. You have the floor now.
Okay, thank you so much, Yamaguchi-san, for inviting my presentation. Okay, I am Yasumitsu Kida, General Manager for Overseas Business of Shibata Corporation of Japan. And I appreciate very much to His Excellency, Mr. Prabhas Chandra Kirti, Secretary to Environment Ministry, Mr. Katsuki-san, Minister of Embassy of Japan, Mr. Takahashi-san, Ministry of Environment of Japan, Ms. Kikuchi-san, Global Environment Center Foundation, GEC, for mentioning about our project in their remarks and the presentation. And it is a great honor for me to attend this webinar and to share our experience today. And at first, please let me briefly introduce our company and our project. Our company is located at Fukui City. It is a local town of Japan, 4 hours by train from Tokyo. And our company has a 70 years history that you can find here that we are very local and not large-scale companies. Our main business fields in Japan is renewable energy, especially of solar power business and decarbonization business. For solar power systems, we have plenty of experience of its development, construction, operation, maintenance, consultation, sale and buy of properties all over Japan. And we are expanding our business activities in Asian countries, including Sri Lanka, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Especially in Sri Lanka, we have our local company, Shibata Lanka Private Limited. I, myself, was stationed at Colombo for almost 4 years as a managing director of Shibata Lanka. I'd like to emphasize that we have enough business experience, knowledge, and network in Sri Lanka. Our project is adopted as one of JCM model project for fiscal year 2023. You can see the selected project list information at the GEC's website. I'd like to introduce outline of our project. The project title is 13.5 megawatt solar power project in Kebi-Thigowela, North Central Province. And the capacity of this solar power plant is 13.5 megawatt, which is expected to reduce 6,511 tons CO2 per year. And it is obliged to operate and have MRV work, measurement, reporting, and verification for 17 years. For this project, the international consortium has been established. We, Shibata Corporation, are its representative participant from Japan, and Windforce PLC and Kebi-Thigowela Solar Power Private Limited, which is a SPC of this project. They are partner participants from Sri Lanka. We have formulated this implementation structure for development, construction, operation, monitoring, and reporting of the project. And it will work for 17 years to fulfill JCM program requirements. Sorry. Please let me show what we did from application till adoption last year. We submitted our proposal at July end, and we received assessment process. The first joint committee between Japanese and Sri Lankan governments was held in October, and the committee showed no objection to our project. Finally, we have received approval for this grant at the middle of December. Our project is under construction now. I have visited this site last week, as you can see on this, their photos here. It is planned to commence its commercial operation at this July. I'd like to share what we have found and learned by participating in this financing program for JCM model projects application of Sri Lanka. Our project is solar power project, so I'd like you to understand our lesson mainly for renewable energy and solar power projects. Before application, it is important to have deep understanding of Sri Lankan economic and business environment. Especially, it is a must to understand renewable energy business and feed-in tariff feed system in Sri Lanka. In addition, macroeconomy and business environment of Sri Lanka has been drastically changed in these years, and the change will be happen even from now. And next is, it is crucial that international consortium members have sufficient experiences for development and operation for similar business like renewable energy projects in Sri Lanka. For our consortium, we are working with Windforce PLC. The Windforce is a listed company at the Colombo Stock Exchange market, and they have plenty of development and operation experience of solar, wind, and hydro energy projects in Sri Lanka. For project formulation, the target project needs to have reliable and feasible planning. What does it mean here is, at first, it is advised to obtain necessary licenses such as land approval, energy permit, grid connection, environment assessment, etc., before application timing. Second, the international consortium applicant needs to be sure when target project's PPA, power purchase agreement, is granted. PPA is crucial in the evaluation process because it indicates feasibility of the project. The target project is requested to have profitable business planning. It means that international consortium needs to formulate the project with profitable projection for the designated project period, 17 years for solar power projects. Even when the project will receive bank loan with the high interest rate in Sri Lanka, it is required to make reasonable profits. In Sri Lanka, there are risks of sudden policy changes, like for macroeconomic environment, taxation, and so on. It is also necessary to prepare for these changes. And it is highly recommended to communicate well with the Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka and the Embassy of Japan in Sri Lanka from the stage of project formulation and application. I also had several meetings with both Ms. Kumudini-san and Mr. Katsuki-san here today for sharing our project information. It is required to receive no objection at the joint committee of both governments for the proposed projects. So it is helpful to receive the understanding in advance. And for project participants, members of the international consortium must fully understand that they all have obligation of MRV, measurement, reporting, and verification of the project for designated period. In case of solar projects, that is for 17 years. Adoption of the subsidy grants and commencement of commercial operation are just beginning. It is significant to establish system and team structure of MRV, operation and maintenance, with written contracts with validity in the consortium. Overall, I personally think that we have a good chance in Sri Lanka to get the JCM financing program compared to other countries. The reasons are the large Japanese companies are not so many in Sri Lanka, and demands for renewable energy power plants are very huge. And the government of Sri Lanka provides the support for this field very well. And at the last, I'd like to appreciate support of GEC. Frankly, we have faced unexpected planning change of our project during its assessment process. We had reported openly to GEC, and GEC provided sincere consultations. I strongly recommend to share and ask any concerns or issues to GEC at any project periods. I'd like to express my appreciation to have a wonderful opportunity to introduce our project today. And I'm excited very much that we can contribute to GHG reduction in Sri Lanka as part of Japanese government initiatives through our business with Windforce Friends. And it is more than happy if our project can also support to strengthen electricity generation capacity of Sri Lanka. It's my pleasure to receive contacts and consultation from any of them here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kida from Shibata Corporation for sharing information about your own project. I think it was very helpful to get for the audience who hasn't had any JCM project to have a peek into what goes into implementing a JCM project. Thank you very much for sharing that information. And I would like to introduce the next guest speaker, Mr. Ryosuke Morita. He's a project coordinator for International Project Department from Yuko Keso. And he was also not able to join us today live, so he also kindly recorded his presentation. So if my colleague could play the video, thank you.
Hello everyone. Thank you for coming here today. My name is Ryosuke Morita. I'm the project coordinator from Yuko Keso. Today, we are here to talk about our experience in JCM model project in Indonesia. This presentation will be divided into 3 sections. We will start with talking about our company, and then move on to introduction of project in Indonesia. Finally, in summary, I will discuss the achievement of the project and what is important to succeed as JCM model project. So let me begin. Yuko Keso was founded in Tokyo in 1963. Overseas subsidiaries is in Hanoi, Vietnam. Since its foundation, we have been mainly engaged in designing, installation, and maintenance of building automation systems related to air conditioning, electricity, and security. We also have been involved in providing energy-efficient solutions to companies in Japan and other Asian countries. We have been providing consulting services for JCM model projects and have participated in 8 projects in 3 countries. Now, let's move on to the introduction of the project in Indonesia. First, we'd like to introduce the overview of the project. The project is called Installation of Energy-Saving Equipment and Solar Power System to Complex Building in Jakarta. The project was carried out at the Senayan Square complex in Jakarta. We installed high-efficiency chillers, high-efficiency air conditioners, and solar power system. the old chillers and air conditioners were replaced with new ones, and the solar power system was newly installed. Installation work began in February 2023 and was completed in December of the same year. We will monitor chillers and air conditioners for the next 15 years, from 2024 to 2038, and solar power system for 17 years, from 2024 to 2040. The figure on the right shows the implementation structure of this project. International consortium of companies from Japan and partner country implement the project. In this project, EU COCASO was a representative participant and concluded a consortium agreement with PT Senayan Tolikarya Simpanan, STS, of Indonesia. The project was adopted as JCM model project by the Ministry of the Environment of Japan and the Global Environment Center Foundation. The equipment was installed by the construction company contracted with STS. Next, we introduce STS, a local partner. STS was established in 1991 and has developed and operated the Senayan Square complex. The Senayan Square complex consists of 2 shopping centers, 3 office towers, 4 apartments, and 1 hotel. STS is an affiliate of the Japanese construction company Kajima Corporation, and the Senayan Square complex is supported by Kajima Corporation. Here is information about the site and the equipment installed for this project. 4 new chillers were installed, 2 in the shopping center and 2 in the office building. Air conditioning units were installed in 2 shopping centers. 4 outdoor units were installed in each shopping center to cool the air. Solar power system was installed on the roof of one of the Senayan Square's buildings, which will generate and supply electricity to 2 of the office buildings. The total of the 3 types of equipment is expected to reduce annual CO2 emissions by 1,493 tons. There are before and after pictures of the installation. Although it is difficult to see the changes in the picture, chillers have been updated to high efficiency ones. Air conditioner used to be a single split type that required 1 outdoor unit for each indoor unit, but the number of outdoor units has been reduced because we made the change to multi-type, which 1 outdoor unit is responsible for multiple indoor units. Solar power system was installed on the building roof, where was originally a rooftop parking lot. I would like to discuss 2 features of this project. The first feature is installation of both high-efficiency equipment and renewable energy systems. We implemented 2 of the most effective greenhouse gas emission reduction measures in the shopping centers and office buildings. We are confident that this will be a good example of implementing the JCM model project with shopping centers and office buildings as project site. The second feature is the selection and introduction of the most suitable equipment based on past operational results. Although installing high-efficiency equipment is an effective way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, selecting top-of-the-line equipment based on catalog specification is not always the best choice. The type and capacity of equipment should be selected based on the operating load factor and other factors from actual past operations. In this project, since the chiller and air conditioners are replacement of existing equipment, we were able to select the most suitable equipment with consideration of past operational results. This table shows the main differences between existing and newly installed equipment. For the chiller installed in the shopping center, we selected a smaller capacity of 720 refrigeration tons, whereas the existing equipment was 900 refrigeration tons. The chiller installed in the office building has not been changed in capacity, but has been upgraded from non-inverter type to inverter type. As for the air conditioning system, the existing equipment was non-inverter types single split air conditioner, but changed to inverter type multi air conditioner so that greater effect can be expected. We now move on to the last section. Here we present the achievement of this project and what is important to succeed as JCM model projects. There are two achievements. The first is that we were able to make the choice to implement this large-scale renewal because of the subsidy through JCM model projects. STS, the local partner, has been installing energy-saving equipment before. Previous implementation has been relatively quick return on investment and highly profitable, such as upgrading to LEDs and exhaust fan inverters. Although this project was a large-scale renewal and the investment cost was significant, the over 20% subsidy promoted the realization of this project. The second one is that we were able to contribute to the sustainable urban development in Indonesia. Construction work brings huge environmental impacts, but by introducing advanced equipment through the JCM model project and maintaining them for 15 or 17 years, we will contribute to reducing the frequency of construction work. Senayan Square is the landmark of Jakarta, and it is expected to have a spreading effect to other cities and buildings in Indonesia by becoming a long-life model project for urban development that reduces the environmental impact of building life cycle. Finally, we discuss about what is important to succeed as JCM model projects. The most important point for succeeding as JCM model project is the close communication between the representative participant and the local partner. Since the project period for JCM model project is determined at the time of adoption, it is necessary to implement the project smoothly. Therefore, it is important to keep close communication and develop detailed plan among the consortium at the launch phase of the project. Also, during the project implementation phase, it is necessary to share information about even minor problems and to manage risk together. JCM model projects require continuous monitoring for long periods after installation of the equipment. In our project, the chillers and air conditioners need to be monitored for 15 years and the solar power system for 17 years. In order to conduct long-term monitoring, the consortium should should build a sustainable monitoring system, and the representative participants and local partners should cooperate continuously. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. That was a video recording of the presentation from Mr. Morita from Yuko Keso. And then now we're gonna spend a little more time on the Q&A session for these two speakers. I'd like to ask Mr. Kida from Shibata Corporation. Thank you to come back to the screen. And we have prepared two questions for you. Perhaps we can start with the first one, which goes, what are the most important points in forming a JCM model project?
Okay, thank you very much. In Sri Lanka's case, some of these answers that I touch upon in my presentation. The first is that it's very important to have deep understanding of Sri Lankan economy and business environment. And it's also important to understand that to have a business experience in Sri Lanka. And if you are planning to apply the JCM model project by renewable energy projects, it is a must to have understanding of the renewable energy business and its system in Sri Lanka, and including a feed-in tariff feed system. And for the renewable energy businesses, the challenges are always license acquisition and financing for huge initial investments. So it is recommended to establish the international consortium with companies or organizations which have enough experience for those works, and which can also formulate feasible, reliable, and profitable projects to fulfill purpose and standard of JCM model projects.
Thank you very much. And then we have a second question for you, which is, what are the difficulties or challenges in implementing a JCM model project? And if you could also share ways you overcame such challenges with the audience.
Okay, thank you very much. And actually, our project is still going on. And so it is expected to have further difficulties from now. And I don't want to receive them. But anyway, until now, the one issue for our project was the COD deadline required by PPA. And it means that the deadline of COD is not long. We have only we can say that it's short time. So that we review our schedule and progress, especially of the procurement and construction process again and again. And we are implementing those works in rush in order to be in time of the required deadline. And one more thing is that we have faced unexpected planning change from our plan as of the application period. And for example, the large material price change was happened. And that is due to the global supply chain disruption and the Sri Lankan macroeconomy's drastic change. And but for both difficulties or challenges, our team reported and asked consultation to GEC openly. And we have found their solution with following JCM rule and regulation by the GEC's advice. So again, that I strongly recommend that for the applicants or the implementers to have a good communication and ask any things to GEC anytime.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that information. Indeed, I think for companies who are going to start a project in Sri Lanka, I think they appreciated knowing about the short COD deadline and that they probably need to have a pretty strong plan for procurement and construction, as you said. So thank you very much. I think that's a very valuable information for our audience today. So thank you very much, Kida-san, for sharing your thoughts and also for your presentation. Thank you.
Very much.
And then, so we actually asked Mr. Morita from Yuko Keso the same questions, and he also kindly sent us the video recording of his answers. So go ahead. Thank you.
I'd like to answer your first question. What are the important points in forming the JCM model project? As presented in the last slide, the most important thing in JCM model project is close communication between representative participants and local partners. Therefore, the most important point when forming JCM model project is to build a close relationship between representative participants and local partners. Actually, we held meetings and communicated frequently to share information when forming the project. And this helped both companies to understand information about the project and to build a relationship of trust with each other. I'd like to answer the second question. What were the difficult points in implementing the JCM model project? How did you overcome them? Projects implemented through JCM model project require high consideration for the environment. In our project, it was necessary to retrieve freon from existing chillers and air conditioners to prevent it from dispersing into the atmosphere when these units were removed. This is because freon can cause serious environmental effects. We requested the installer to recover the freon in an appropriate method to prevent any negative impact on the environment from this project.
Thank you. And those were the answers to the questions from Mr. Morita from Yuko Keso. And once again, I would like to thank all the speakers who joined us today for providing insightful information from different perspectives, from Japan's government side, Sri Lanka's government side, from the private sector side. I think it was very insightful for our audience. And before we close our webinar, I'd like to welcome Mr. Yuji Kimura. He's an Executive Director and Head of Office Tokyo from Global Environment Center Foundation. He will provide the closing remarks. So Kimura-san, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Yamaguchi-san. Hello, everybody. I am Yuji Kimura from Global Environment Center Foundation. On behalf of organizers, I'd like to say a few words as a closing address. First, we deeply appreciate all of you for participating in today's seminar. We are also very grateful for the kind cooperation by the Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka. Without your cooperation, we hadn't been able to hold this seminar successfully. Sri Lanka became a JCM member country in October 2022, and one of the partner countries that agreed upon the new rules and guidelines corresponding to the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Today, we held the first JCM seminar in Sri Lanka. Through this seminar, we aim at creating opportunities for people in Sri Lanka and Japan to learn and deepen their understanding about the JCM itself and JCM financing program. Today, we held the seminar in a webinar format, and thanks to you, we were able to have a lot of participants. For today's seminar, we have chosen contribution to GHG emission reductions in Sri Lanka through the JCM as a main theme, because this fiscal year is the first year for Sri Lanka to utilize JCM for accelerating GHG emission reductions. Sri Lanka has established policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 14.5% against BAU scenario for the period of 2021 to 2030 through national plans and programs that cover all relevant sectors, as well as external support, including financing, technology transfer, and capacity building. It has also declared to achieve 70% renewable energy in electricity generation by 2030 and carbon neutrality in 2050. In Japan, the government has established its GHG emission target as 46% reduction by the year 2030. It has also declared to achieve carbon neutral society by the year 2050. These developments were presented by the representatives from the Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka and the Ministry of the Environment Japan in this seminar. In achieving these national targets and goals, the cooperation between Japan and Sri Lanka is becoming much more important than before. JCM is one of the effective measures to realize it, and high expectations are expressed by both governments' representatives. We are now at the first step toward starting our efforts to develop JCM projects as many as possible in Sri Lanka and contributing to GHG reductions nationally and globally. From this point of view, in today's seminar, we have tried to give you the detailed information how JCM model projects are proposed, selected, and advanced towards the project completion. We also invited an ADB representative to present their financial support scheme to promote JCM projects in Asia. Another objective of today's seminar was to show you a couple of good examples of JCM model projects with a view to providing you with concrete ideas on how JCM projects are formulated and implemented and how challenges are addressed. From these points of view, we picked up two promising JCM model projects. One is a solar power project in Sri Lanka, and other is a combination project of energy saving and solar power in Indonesia. Representatives from Shibata Corporation and Yuko Keiso, respectively, showed us the clear images of their projects. JCM has a great potential to promote the introduction and dissemination of a variety of decarbonizing technologies and contribute to combating climate change, as well as achieving sustainable development goals in Sri Lanka. I hope this seminar has provided all the participants with the opportunity to know and utilize JCM. We are assisting companies which are interested in JCM through individual consultations. In addition, our JCM Global Match provides opportunities for various companies interested in JCM to find each other and formulate JCM projects together. We hope today's participants will actively use these opportunities. Finally, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to all the speakers for their excellent contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kimura-san, for providing the closing remarks. And many thanks again to all the speakers for the great presentations once again. We certainly hope it was helpful and insightful for all our attendants. If you have any questions that were not answered today, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, GEC. We have our email address listed on our website. As Kimura-san just said, we are taking requests for consultations. You can come to our office, or we can hold our meeting online as well. So please feel free to reach out to us. We're always available to answer your questions or provide guidance. And we would also like to thank the Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka and the Ministry of Environment of Japan for co-organizing today's event. And when you leave this webinar event, please take a moment to answer the questionnaire. It will appear on your web browser. Once you exit this webinar, it'll help us greatly to improve future events. Thank you very much again for your participation. We look forward to seeing your project proposal soon. Have a good day and have a good afternoon. Thank you again. Goodbye.